Welcome back to the Youth Action Challenge. Our next team in the hot seat for their question and answer session, it's Kampung Ubin. I'm going to hand you over to Miss Farah with the first question. Ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, Kampung Ubin. I understand that you have done some pilot sessions with a tour. How will that translate to the long-term impact of having Ubin preserved as a heritage site?
We want to stress that this project kind of came out of a larger collective. We're all part of this collective called the Kampung Ubin Association, where people have been kind of volunteering and trying to understand, NHB has already done cultural mapping, but that's all on the internet. How do we actually preserve living heritage? And that's what we feel very strongly about. And so YC came up as an opportunity for a platform and also to fund our efforts and amplifying what residents already want to share their stories. They're just not confident that people are interested.
I think in terms of the heritage, also YS is giving us the platform to really outreach to more youths. So the whole idea is, a youth to youth. So the youths are actually helping to bridge that connection. So when there's greater conversation about Ubin in terms of the conservation efforts, we can really allow the youths to play an active role because Ubin is part of Singapore, and more of us deserve to know about Ubin and to see how we can be part of Singapore's overall cultural history and natural heritage as well.
Thanks. Great to meet both of you. So these sorts of community building initiatives are often really impactful and admirable, but often take a really long time, right? And so what are your metrics for success? What does success look like, say, 6 months out, a year out, 3 years out? What do you really hope to achieve over the different timeframes?
So I think at the beginning of our initiative, our objective, especially considering how COVID means that we will have to introduce smaller groups of people to the island. The budget that we had set into YC initially was thinking about, maybe then the best thing to do is to wait till phase 3 and have a larger workshop with 25 people. But knowing that there's likely going to be a resurgence of COVID, we thought about breaking it up into smaller workshops. So we have maybe, let's say, 5 groups of people at a time, more regularly engaging with the residents.
And I think one very big key difference that I see perhaps maybe between our group and other groups is that we are this is more of like a community outreach of sorts, right? So I wouldn't say that it's very much like a very business model. In fact, I would say something like if we think about financial sustainability and whether this can carry on for a long term, right? That sustainability is actually built into our project in the sense that we do want to empower the residents to be able to carry out parts of the trail by themselves. And actually, a lot of our costs comes down to documentation and also equipping them with the equipment, especially things that would allow them to be able to safely conduct these trails during this COVID-19 period. So I think part of the metrics would actually be the take-up rate. So we already know that the people in Ubin, they're running their own businesses. They already often contribute to efforts by different groups. But how do we make sure that they are actually empowered to do so on their own and do it in the way that they want it to be shared? What are the stories they actually want to be heard, and how would they like themselves to be remembered, basically? So that kind of living heritage, not in a top-down approach, but really trying to create it ground up together with other youths as well, so that it really is co-creation and we can really ensure that there's value add. And beyond the experiential workshops that we had proposed, right, which would be like rather big events that would happen over 2 days, there's also that further engagement from week to week. How many people that we have engaged are willing to come down and to interact with the residents beyond the trails the one-off trails, so-called, that they have gone for. So all these are viable metrics for us to look into that we can improve on.
Thank you very much, Kampung Ubin and our judges, for those questions. Thank you so much for your session, and I wish you all the best for the Youth Action Challenge.